day.
And
hello. Well, raise your hand if that's the kind of hello you want from now on.
no.
Hello.
Yeah. The usual yeah. So welcome, everyone.
Welcome back, everybody.
We are live. And this is Bible Prophecy and Truth. My name is Dan. I'm the author of BibleProphecyandTruth.com. This is my wife, Colleen, co-hosting and chat moderating.
Douglas raised his hand.
He raised his hand.
Okay, this is for you,
the
Douglas.
Quiet hello. Yeah.
Hello. Hello. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of BibleProphecyandTruth.com. Hi, Kathleen.
Welcome.
Hello, Judy.
And by the way,
Judy.
this is
Jody.
Diane from Minnesota via Zoom, our sister in Christ, and Colleen's blood sister.
Mm-hmm. Oh, if you can hear my voice, please give it a big thumbs up right now. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Rumble, make sure you are following us on Rumble. Thumbs up. Share the show with everyone you know. Please turn on the notification bell so you do not miss any great uploads. And then go to videos.prophecyandtruth.com, videos.prophecyandtruth.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Look at all the videos.
Videos
Sissy?
never hurt anybody. They don't have a disease. You can't catch it.
Yeah.
Just
It sounds just
And
so,
videos.
There's
it just sounds
hundreds
so
of videos.
practical. You know what I mean? It
There's
just,
so many. You could binge watch forever.
oh yeah.
Yes.
I know it's raining somewhere. Binge watch.
Yeah, it's
So,
gotta be.
yeah. So welcome, everyone. And we're going to talk about,
Yes.
or we're going into part 3 of our study of the Bible Prophecy and Truth book. We're going into creation versus evolution today. It's going to be very interesting. And then I have some, it seems like there's nothing going on in the news, but I have some news to talk about today. So that'll come after our study. So welcome, and we will go ahead and get started.
Yes.
I know I'm going to have a video to show. So
Mhm.
creation versus evolution. I mean, this is this is one that.
Hi, Lainey.
Hey, Lainey, welcome, sister. It's like, it's crazy how people are so just locked in to the idea of evolution. And I've got to tell you, there's, you know how they changed the narrative in the mainstream media? You know how they did that with COVID, how they did that with the global warming scam, how they did that with how they do that with literally everything, right? Well, they've had long practice in doing that for evolution and ignoring evidence, completely, utterly ignoring, and then lying about things, and it's crazy, but it's true. And so it's kind of like when we study the truth about salvation, or we study the truth about, what is prophecy really? As we've talked about in the last few lives, we've gone through part 1 and part 2, and all of the things that are so misunderstood. Well, this is another one, and it's very relevant to God's word and understanding God, understanding everything. If you think evolution has any part of why we're here, then you're deceived. And it's really important to understand that God made us. God made us in his image, right? He didn't just throw some code out there and let it randomly evolve. He made us specifically in his image on purpose. He made us like him, in that we have a spirit. We exist, we think, we ponder, we choose.
We imagine.
Yes, that's the image of God that he created us in. And, one of the first things I want to point out is, this article that And it's, despite being sold as irrefutable fact, evolution undergoes yet another rewrite. This was last year, but this is not the first time that they've changed their minds, right? And it's not because they think evolution is not true. It's just that they've discovered through modern science that there's things that can't possibly be true about what they've always sold us as irrefutable fact. And that's just, it happens all the time. And when we study creation versus evolution, it's not just for those people that want to know where we came from. It's even for Christians to understand what God really did in the creation and disputing the lies. I mean, this is what I'm always talking about is I'm refuting the lies of Satan that are out there with prophecy and all the false prophecy teachers and myriads of them. I mean, millions and millions of podcasters out there teaching some form of prophecy teaching or another. And they're, I'm sad to say this, I don't watch prophecy teachers all day long, so I haven't seen many of them, but I've never seen any that actually teach it correctly. Mm-hmm. They all teach, for the most part, they all teach this, same prophecy narrative that's been taught since the 1800s. Yeah. And
hi, I-24.
Hey, I-24, welcome.
So happy you're here. Good to see you.
So this is just another one of the myriads of lies that we need to be able to refute. Like if we're talking to anyone and we want to talk about these things, it's important to have data and facts behind it, right? That's why I put all the prophecies together, which is the only way you can understand prophecy, is to put it all together, and it has to fit with each other. It all has to fit together or it's not true. And the same thing with truth, right? You've got to read the entire Bible. You've got to let the Bible interpret itself. You've got to put all of the facts together to get the whole truth. And it's the same thing with creation versus evolution. When you take all the evidence that's found in the earth and you look at what the Bible recorded as what happened historically, it fits that perfectly. So this whole discussion it's not just who am I, where did I come from? I mean, or predominantly Christians watch this channel, so you already know that God made you, presumably. So this would apply to people who are just confused and don't even really, maybe not even believe in God, right? All these questions, but I hope that some people do find this website, just searching for what are dinosaurs and things like that. I actually do have a lot of people that hit this. What about the dinosaurs page? And I hope that it just leads them to discovering more truth. But it's mostly for Christians to help understand the lies that they have out there and how to refute them. There's a link right on the very first page for the Creation versus Evolution seminar that it was a live stream series that we did. And Diane took that and broke it up and added tons of video evidence for everything that I'm talking about, and just made it really awesome. And it's a 3-part series. Definitely give it a watch. And I'm going to jump right in. The first thing is evolution a science, right? Is it really a science? And that's the thing. The common theory of evolution is that, there was matter and energy already in existence that exploded 15 billion years ago. And that, it was this bubbling mass of molten lava. And that's what the earth was in the beginning. And
what did you think way back then when you were atheist? What did you think how the earth?
Well, I tried as an atheist, I desperately needed evolution to be true, right?
But what did you
because
actually?
the alternative is God or something else, right? So I didn't really necessarily believe that it was just this big explosion that happened from nothing. But I tried to put pieces together. I tried to actually make it fit in my mind because, just like most people that don't believe in God, and I say hate God because they desperately don't want to submit to him and acknowledge him. They have to have an alternative, and that's why they cling so desperately to evolution, even though modern science clearly refutes evolution in many, many ways.
Well, evolution, their timelines of things don't match. They're
Right.
just all out there. This happened billions of years ago. Then they'll say something else happened millions of years ago.
Yeah.
But whatever they're saying happened millions of years ago came first. So
Yeah, and they're
right.
constantly changing their minds, because they find things that refute that, so they have to change their mind, and they do that all the time. I-24, and if we had believed in what they had the nerve to explain away in school, I know, right?
I know.
Yeah,
Right.
it started a long time ago, and back when I was in school, this was a theory.
Mhm.
Now they teach it as absolute fact.
Oh, yeah.
And nothing's changed about what we know about evolution. It's just that they've decided they're going to say it's a fact. Because science is knowledge or a system of knowledge covering general truths or the operation of general laws, especially as obtained and tested through scientific method. And for something to be a science fact, it must follow the scientific method of observation, hypothesis, testing, and demonstration. The only part of the scientific method that evolution has is hypothesis. That's it. There's no observation. There's no testing or demonstration that's ever been done. But they try to say it's fact anyway. I mean, and we're going to go through some of the science that they say is fact, and we're going to show how it's ridiculous. It is not fact. And then I've got pictures galore. And here's a PhD saying evolution is religion, not science.
That's true.
And it really is, because
It's their
evolution
religion.
is a system of belief. Right? You can believe anything you want, but that doesn't make it truth or science. That basically makes it a religion. If you have a belief system concerning the cause and nature of our existence, if you have a belief system about our existence, that's religion, right? And that's what
atheism
evolution
is just their religion.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, because atheists really do have
It's
a religion.
religion against God.
It's just a religion to hate God.
Mhm.
yeah.
But modern science, there's lots of modern science. This is just one of them that's irreducible complexity, or complexity they call it, because the flagellum it's a molecular machine that has 41 integrated parts. I'll show you a picture here. It's not very big. So that's not a very good picture, actually. Let me show you. What'd I do?
I have it on the video.
Now I've done it. I've done it. Let me go
Every
back.
Bible study.
I do this every time, I know. So it's evolution of science. Let's go back here. So this is a better picture.
Yeah,
here.
I like that picture.
This is, it kind of shows the flagellum. I know it's real tiny, but it has, it actually has a propeller. It has a number of gears and things. It has literally 41 integrated parts, and it cannot perform its function without a single one of those parts. And so in Darwin's age, they didn't have microscopes that were capable of seeing these things. They couldn't see it. They didn't know it existed. And so what Darwin said in Darwin's own words, if it could be demonstrated that any complex organism existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. And the flagellum is a great example of that. It's a machine that couldn't possibly have done anything in any previous stage. It wouldn't have been able to do what it does, and it would have had no function at all if it didn't have a single one of its parts. So that kind of does it right there. And that's just one example. People used to believe that a big rock would fall faster than a small rock. I mean, this was knowledge back in the day, right? Well, a big rock's heavier than a small rock, so it's going to fall faster, they thought.
I think that this tower is leaning over a little bit more too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It does kind of look like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the point is that a small rock actually falls at the exact same rate a big rock does. Yeah. The only thing that makes a difference in the rate of speed is friction and wind friction and how much force there is, behind it or in front of it. That's why a feather falls so slow, not just because it's light, but because it has that feathery mass. If you take a feather and drop it in a vacuum, it'll just fall. It doesn't float down like that, right? Because it's only the air mass that creates that friction, which causes buoyancy for something that light. There's so many things about gravity that men don't understand. We still don't even understand what gravity is at all, or how it works, or why. No idea. Because God has chosen not to reveal that to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't get to have that information right now.
Yeah. But that's, today's science fact becomes tomorrow's discarded trash, just like the article I showed, right? They keep changing their mind. Well, it couldn't possibly have been this way. It actually happened a lot faster, and they're always changing their mind. And then people, of course, just, okay. Oh, yeah. It's just like Mount St. Helens. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Mount St. Helens caused them to change their minds about the way they do carbon dating because they were showing these brand spanking new rocks to be millions of years old. It's ridiculous. And everybody will argue with you about it now because they've come up with a reason why, they were wrong about it, but they're right now, of course. Yeah. But Darwin himself wrote, to suppose that the eye, with all its inimitable contrivances for adjusting the focus to different distances, for admitting different amounts of light, for the correction of spherical and chromatic aberration, could have been formed by natural selection seems, I freely confess, absurd in the highest possible degree. I mean, Darwin himself disagreed with his theory, even though he pushed that it's a good theory. Because you know why? Do you know who Darwin was? Do you know that he was a priest? Did you know that he turned from the priesthood and turned away from God, and that's why he came up with these theories? And it had to be true because he had to find an alternative to God.
Well, maybe that's why, because he was a Catholic priest.
Well, and then, so he wrote a lot of things that, for the theory, but there's these things that he wrote instead now and then that just were so obviously true. Why? And this is a big one right here, right? Why, if species have descended from other species by insensibly fine gradations, do we not everywhere see innumerable transitional forms?
Right.
Why is not all nature in confusion instead of the species being as we see them well defined?
Mm-hmm.
Innumerable transitional forms must have existed. Why do we not find them embedded in countless numbers in the crust of the earth?
Mm-hmm.
They're having trouble trying to find one.
Yeah.
It should be innumerable.
Mm-hmm.
Why then is not every geological formation and every stratum
In a state
full
of
such intermediate links? Yeah. Darwin himself said that in The Origin of Species. You know, geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain.
all there is is a constant state of development, not transformation or not transformation.
Transition.
Yeah.
And you know, this, he said, this perhaps is the most obvious and gravest objection which can be urged against my theory. And he said it himself, you know, and that's one of the big ones, right? Why are there not innumerable transitional forms? Because if evolution were true, there would be millions and millions of them. It would be confusion instead of way down in the deepest stratum, we find animals and beings that are exactly the same way they are today.
Completely.
There's no change at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but we can't find any intermediate stages at all.
That would be confusing, wouldn't it? To always be in this state of transitioning.
Constant transition, yeah. There would be innumerable transitional forms.
You wouldn't be able to tell if it was 1,000,000 years old versus 600,000 years old, or, you know what I mean?
Well, but that's what they say. They have these tests that can show that, but which are also can actually also be proven false, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. And then, of course, I have another link to the evolution series seminar because it's just so good. And then so that's chapters 20 and 21. Pretty quick going through there, but it's just basic acknowledgement of, you know, evolution is not really a science, and modern science actually refutes it. But let's look at the actual science in the earth and the things that we find in the earth, and talk about that. So chapter 22 is, you know, is the earth billions of years old? And I wanted to show you another thing though, before we move on. I want to show you a couple of things. This is an interesting picture here. Of course, it takes it a minute to show up.
I've never seen that.
This is the skull that's found in the earth. This is the artist's depiction of the animal in a paleontology book.
Where are we? Where's Annie?
Oh, why does it keep...
I'm here.
I don't know why it does that.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
She can see it.
Okay.
So it's just covering up the picture. But
yeah.
So this is what you'll find in a paleontology book from this skull.
Oh my gosh.
But this is what the actual animal is. It's a hippopotamus. But this is what they say this creature was from the past. Right? This is how they deceive us with, oh, this artist's depiction looks really cool because it matches the skull. But it's not at all. And then, you know, for things that they find where we don't have a modern day example of, oh, this is the truth every time, right? They'll tell us that it looked like this, even though it probably didn't, right? And then another thing that before we get into talking about how old the earth is the idea of these flood legends that people try to refute that there's any flood legends, but there's legends of floods in literally like every culture across the world. There's there's 300, according to this, right? There's 300 plus accounts of a flood worldwide. It's just, you've got different iterations, you've got different explanations, you've got different stories, but every culture has a flood legend that was handed down from parent to child to child to child to child. Over the years, there's accounts of some flood. There's another one.
But then we say the Bible talks about the flood, and people right away they say that what it actually was when Moses was leading the people out of Egypt. And that was the so-called flood because it was a regional thing. And it's like, that makes no sense.
I know. And they try to say it was just a local flood, which you can't cover the mountains and have it be a local flood. That's them trying to make up excuses. Yeah. But there's China has flood legends, 3 different cultures, 3 ancient stories, but it's all a flood legend, right? This is across the world. There are legends of floods because why?
They all came up with their own story.
It's because there was a flood. And the story of the flood has been handed down generation after generation. And that's why every culture has a flood legend. So I wanted to bring that up. But so let's talk about what science shows us. And so now it just went away again. So let me try to see if I can keep it there. There we go. All right. So one of the things that I show first off in this study is some of the things that we have today that kind of refute their claims that things take millions of years. Like, for example, stalactites and stalagmites, which are the formations that you find in caves, right? From mineral deposition, where it creates a spiked thing hanging from the ceiling of rock, right? And then it creates one from the ground, whereas it drips. And then they eventually meet in the middle and it becomes a column, is what they call it. And they say it takes millions of years for that to happen. And there's this teepee mountain, which I have on my website. And I want to show you the new pictures that I have, because I have pictures of its creation, its inception, and to what it looks like today.
Wow.
So this is the original construction, right? It's a 1-inch water pipe. And they created this rock formation to hold the pipe in place, right? So it's just a test that they did. So that was the original formation. And then this is after a few years where it's already creating this mineral deposit.
So the water was coming out the top and going down the side of it?
Yeah. And this is just a few years after that. I mean, this is probably about 50 years in, and then this is what it's become today. After 100 years. This was like 1900 that they built this thing. And they just left the water flowing. And this is the graduation of its creation. This 100 years later is this
That's pretty cool, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cool. And it proves beyond any doubt that it does not take millions of years. I don't know why it doesn't like
us.
Oh my gosh, I just show video panel. There we go. Oh, it doesn't like it when I show images for some reason. But so this stalactite, after 100 years, this huge formation, right? So for them to say that the ones that we see in caves took millions of years is just kind of dumb. It only took 100 years. And there's man-made tunnels that we have today. Man-made tunnels that are already forming stalactites and stalagmites, like modern tunnels that were just created.
Yeah.
It happens a lot faster. So that's one thing. Another thing I want to show you too is I save these things every once in a while when I find them, and I've saved them so that I can do this and show you today. This is another one that is this is a rock, right? This thing right here, it's a rock. People try to say, and people try to say that that's a natural formation.
No, it looks like a book.
Yeah, they say that it's 300 million years old and it's a natural formation. It just happens to resemble
like
a book. That's what people who believe in evolution say, that it's just a book, or it's just a rock that just happens to resemble a book. Isn't that
That's sticking out the side
ridiculous.
of a mountain?
No, this is a man-made formation, right?
No, I'm talking about the one that looks like a book. Is it sticking out the side of a mountain?
Right. Well, it's actually sticking out of rock. Yes, it's actual rock. Yeah.
It's fossilized, right?
It's fossilized. Yeah. So it's embedded in this rock behind it. Yes.
Someone left their book there 100 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
But
like,
that's the
where did I
thing.
put my book?
You know, things can happen a lot faster than they say, and they'll argue this till they're blue in the face. Oh no, that's not a book because it can't be, because it's fossilized. Well, yeah, it can be, and it is. It's obviously
it is a book.
It's definitely a book.
Yeah, it's obviously a book, and it's just fossilized.
Oh.
Yeah. Just like some of these other
Too bad you
pictures that
can't
I have.
actually tell what kind of book it is, like with a title on the outside.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Thank
You know, like,
So there's some other things that I have here. Don't I have them on this? Don't I have them on this page?
how to turn a book into a fossil.
Yeah, I do have some other pictures, and maybe they're on.
And weren't you saying before that somebody had a
Back around
plum in
this
their
page.
refrigerator for a long time?
Oh,
there's
yeah, plum.
a plum. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Here is the picture of that.
Oh,
I have a
because
lot of
there's
things that could be fossilized.
Here's
in
the
that.
plum. This is or prunes. Yeah.
Petrified,
And
not fossilized.
This happened over 1 year.
Let's do that.
1 year.
I'm going to do that.
Well, it has to be the right conditions, right, in order for it to fossilize that
Well, what's
quickly.
the right condition? Never cleaning your fridge.
Well, we'd have to study what exactly that would take, but it'd have to be moist and just the right amount of moisture and all that.
Maybe like
this,
a fridge that's never isn't on. Maybe
it's never cleaned.
Well, I mean,
maybe
like
it's,
never on.
it's just got
like
moisture
an
inside.
old one.
That would be a good environment. Yes, it's moist inside and just never
It
turned on.
petrifies.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's, the petrified prunes. There's, a bottle that actually has rock formed around the bottle, and the bottle's actually stuck in the rock, right?
Yeah, I've seen stuff
So-
like that.
So tell me that bottle is, 100 million years old.
Yeah.
But they've got
Yeah.
stuff like that in the ocean when they look for sunken ships and stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then a boot, right? That's fossilized. Obviously modern boot.
What's in it?
It's a foot.
What's that?
It's a leg bone and a foot.
Mm.
That's someone who died, and his foot fossilized
Wow.
inside the boot. Yeah. So it obviously doesn't take millions of years.
No.
I mean, that's right. So how old is the earth? Well, we can't say because we find rocks that the earth is billions of years old, because we say the rocks are billions of years old. So these are all things that we look at, because if we want to know the truth, what do we do? if you want to know the truth about creation versus evolution, what should you do? Well, you look at the evidence that we find in the earth and you say, is it possible that this is true one way or the other? Do an open-minded comparison, and say, could it possibly be this? And then look at what it takes to create a fossil. And when they say it takes millions of years, you can say, no, it doesn't. It just requires the right environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do testing.
Exactly. And so there's a few things that I have on this page that I'm going to show you. But, carbon dating is this farce that they're trying to sell us. And here's one of the things that I like to point out. In the Grand Canyon, there's this part of the Grand Canyon that has volcanoes at the top of it, and the lava flowed down into the Grand Canyon. So it obviously blew after the canyon formed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, because there's the lava flow down the side of the canyon. Well, they say that this stuff is 1,500 million, so 1.5 billion years old. That's how old they say this lava is.
So
what I don't understand is why they do that, and it's not even true. They weren't there. They don't know.
Well, that's true. But they say that their testing proves that it's 1.5 billion years old.
How can any testing say how many years it took?
And I agree completely with you. But the point that I'm going to make now is that buried far beneath this, far beneath the valley that's there,
mm-hmm.
buried under billions of tons of rock, is this other lava flow that they found down there from a volcano that erupted at some point in the past before the canyon formed. Well, guess what their testing shows the age of that?
1,000.
Well, it's only 1 billion years old.
That's impossible.
So tell me how this is 1.5 billion years old, but that's only 1 billion years old, and it's obviously buried far beneath that one. It's absolute, positive, irrefutable proof that their dating methods are nonsense, is what this proves, right? And there's, I've got some more pictures of the actual canyon, right? And where the lava flows are. And guess what they found in the lava flow? And this one here that they say is 1.5 billion years old. Guess what they found in there? Indian artifacts from American Indians, right? From what we know, the artifacts that are found in the lava rock are from a culture from the Indians that's about 1,000 years ago. So, hello.
They're not making any sense.
This is 1,000 years ago. Indians lived when that volcano erupted. Some of their artifacts were caught in the lava. And when the lava cooled and turned to rock, the artifact was stuck in the lava. It's only 1,000 years old. Their testing says, this is a known fact that the Indian culture was 1,000 years ago that had those artifacts, those pottery items and things, right? So the lava flow here that they say is 1.5 billion years old is actually only 1,000 years old. Yeah. And then, so one of the things that they say is that since Mount St. Helens, they've come up with these things. Well, in order for effective organic materials to be tested, they have to be over 50,000 years old, or the testing isn't right. And then these are the these are the things that they come up with after they discovered that Mount St. Helens throws all of their calculations completely out the window. And without even looking at stuff like this, because this is not brand spanking new.
Mm-hmm.
This is from 1,000 years ago. But but they have to be 50,000 years old, or it can't be. I just wish it would stop doing that. It can't be,
and this, they really don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they absolutely have no idea what they're talking about.
But
and then
people believe it.
Here's an entire island. Surtsey Island in Iceland. Surtsey Island.
Oh.
It's a brand spanking new island that's formed off the coast of Iceland in 1963.
That's ancient.
It just formed. And it was reported in 2007 that the island featured canyons, gullies, and other land features that allegedly take millions of years to form.
Do you see where it says Surtsey Island, Iceland?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is the next word below Surtsey?
Oh, Sturtsey.
Yeah, so they misspelled it,
somebody
right?
fat fingered that. Yeah.
One of them is misspelled.
Yeah, but this is just one irrefutable thing after another, right? And I've got a link to this archaeology expert article. It's an English paper that disputes the theory of radiocarbon dating and how it really can't work, because for C14 to test accurately, the artifact must have been protected from contamination. And then, so the environment where the artifact lies heavily impacts the rate of decay. And it's heavily impacted by, guess what? Water, specifically saline water, which guess what happened at the flood? Everything was doused with water. Yeah. And there's just so many things about this. But there's another new thing that I've got I want to show you is if you've never heard of this, there's a scientific thing called radio halos. And a radio halo, and you can't see this very well, but it's etched within Earth's foundation rocks, the granites of the Earth. They're beautiful microspheres of coloration, a halo produced by the radioactive decay of primordial polonium, which is known to have only a fleeting existence. So this is fact, science fact, okay? So I want you to listen to this video real quick.
Douglas said ice wall in Antarctica also.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a little video I want to show you. I would look at that, but I'll have to look at it later because I don't want to try to flounder for it right now. Compressed radio halos. Okay, I'm going to play this little video for you real fast. This is about radio halos.
I'll read that in a second, Douglas.
Such extraordinary values admit the possibility that both the initial uranium infiltration and coalification could possibly have occurred within the past several thousand years.
Talking about radio halos here in granite.
Because they collected samples from the Jurassic, and Eocene deposits. This would represent an evolutionary time of 37 to 245 million years, 208 million years total. The flattened pleochroic halos and the radioactive decay that took place afterwards conclusively show us that, in fact, 208 million evolutionary years were actually all one event a few thousand years ago.
Yeah.
Exactly in line with the biblical account of a global flood and a few thousand years ago. Because we collapsed this huge chunk of the evolution column into one short time frame. We just collapsed this entire evolution column into one short time frame and event just a few thousand years ago.
Yeah. And that's what radio halos, if you've never heard of those, look it up, because it's an actual, I'm going to show you a website here. I should have left this up. If you go to halos.com, it gives you some information about that, just in case you're curious about what radio halos are, and what are these things, and it'll give you some information if you're curious about it. But that's
Young Earth.
That's another thing that absolute proof. The radio halos in granite, we're talking granite rock, prove beyond any doubt that hundreds of millions of years were one event,
So dumb.
not hundreds of millions of years.
Okay, so what did Douglas say here? He said older dictionaries from like the 40s listed a dragon as an extremely rare creature. And then he said young Earth. It's a young Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Very young Earth.
And that's what we're talking about here, is how old is the Earth, right? And there's a couple of things I skipped up above here to show you that. But then, so there's a number of things that we can look at. I mean, the idea of fossils taking millions or billions of years has just been proven absolute farce, right? There's numerous examples of that. That's, of course, people that just will not let go of their belief in evolution will argue it and argue it and argue it. And that's why they change their mind every time something new comes along that proves the theory false. Well, they just manipulate the theory enough to kind of make it fit better. It's just.
But it doesn't.
No.
It's very confusing, because they're always saying some different number of when humans started to exist and when the dinosaurs existed. Everything is so messed up. It's unreal.
I know.
I know. That's why people walk around so confused.
Yeah. And I've got in a later live stream, I'm going to show where China, how we've seen the human and dinosaur footprints together in the Paluxy Valley in Texas. Well, that China has footprints of humans and dinosaur tracks together as well, which I'm going to show in a later live stream. And dinosaurs are actually mentioned in the Bible, Douglas.
Yes.
Which I'm going to show you here, not today, but in a later live.
Never noticed.
Yeah,
And that's covered.
Right. Found with animal bones like dinosaurs, right? The human skeletons are never found with them.
Yeah.
Well, there's the thing that's rare is actual finding of human skeletons. There's numerous. I mean, there's a lot of human skeletons they've found, but not nearly as many as the animals. And what I firmly believe happened is at the flood, all of the people from the earth. Now there were billions of people by the time of the flood.
Yeah.
Easily billions of people. I believe that God has preserved those remains. You know how the earth is folded over and we've got buried forests 200 meters below the surface of the earth. We've got all kinds of things showing that the trench in the Pacific Ocean, right? The water caused the earth to sink and caused the Pacific Ocean to come into existence, which is another thing we're going to look at in another a later live stream, not today. But that the bottom of the Pacific Ocean could very well have been Earth at the time of the flood.
Oh.
And it sank and created the ocean.
True.
For all of the Earth's movement at the time and all of the things that happened. So that's something we're going to talk about as well. But let's look at like the Grand Canyon.
Giant skeletons.
Yeah, giant skeletons too. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Some 12-foot tall humans.
I have that in the creation versus evolution.
Yeah. And that's one thing we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you some of those giant, not just human skeletons, but lots of skeletons of animals that are greatly enlarged from what we have today. Same animal. Yeah. And it's because the Earth was a different place before the flood. We're definitely going to talk about all of that. But things like canyons, like the Grand Canyon, supposedly took millions of years to be carved by the river running through it, right? The Colorado River supposedly carved the Grand Canyon over millions of years.
See the Grand Canyon.
And, one thing that's odd about it is, if that were the case, this raging river actually turned a 180. And a raging river turned a 180 and went back on itself and carved this canyon. That just, it's a puzzle, right? Mm-hmm. It's a puzzle to those that don't understand that the canyon was carved by a lot of water, and tremendous water flow carved that canyon very quickly. It didn't take millions of years. But if you don't understand that, you're like, how is this possible? And then things like, some gorges carved surprisingly fast, they're finding. Well, yeah, they were all carved very quickly. The Mississippi River deposits 80,000 tons an hour, day after day, year after year, into the Gulf of America. Yeah. That's one of the things I like to show.
Yeah, it's renamed. It's been renamed.
The Gulf of America. And that's what I show here on this
it's not
picture.
Gulf of Mexico anymore.
This is the river. 80,000 tons of mud per hour, every day, year after year, has created this cone. They call it the Mississippi Cone in the Gulf, because that's the mud that comes into the Gulf constantly, 80,000 tons every hour. And they've measured that cone. Mm-hmm. They've measured it. Well, guess what? Guess what they found out about the size of the cone and how old it is? It's 4,400 years old, which is, I think I have it down here. Yeah, 4,400 years old. Well, guess what happened 4,400 years ago?
Flood.
The flood recorded in the book of Genesis. Exactly.
Wasn't the North Pole a landmass?
Oh, absolutely. Not necessarily Eden, but we don't know where Eden is. Eden has not been destroyed, most likely, but God has hidden it, right? Which he did after sin. When Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden, he hid the garden at that point in time.
He sealed it up, right?
And he's got angels protecting so nobody can see it.
Can you imagine?
Get to it. So it probably does still exist. Yeah.
Can you imagine standing in front of this gate or whatever it is protecting Eden for thousands of years?
Yeah. Well,
that's your job.
Angels were created
as
God's deputies.
Do you think that we would be able to see it if we were immortal?
Well, when we are immortal, we will almost certainly be able to see it. Yeah.
But you don't think we'd be able to see it right now?
No, I don't believe that God will allow it to be found. Just like the Ark of the Covenant is not going to be found until Jesus returns.
If immortal.
We may not be able to see it when we're immortal, but we'll probably know where it is, because our understanding will be greatly enhanced, right? When we're changed from mortal to immortal.
The Ark of the Covenant, we're going to be able to see when he reigns for 1,000 years.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. The Garden of Eden may not be until he remakes all of heaven and earth. Then he'll probably resurrect the Garden of Eden. But or just make it appear again, right? But the Ark of the Covenant actually, absolutely, when Christ returns, is almost certainly going to be returned to Jerusalem at that time. Yeah. But the canyons, back to the canyons, they prove, they're another thing that proves that this idea of millions of years to form these gorges is not only being proven false by modern science, it's just the idea that's even ridiculous. How could this have been a raging river that formed this canyon and it does a 180? You know, it's a puzzle to them because it doesn't make sense. So instead of saying, well, no, maybe we're wrong, they just say, wow, that's a puzzle, you know. But and then, you know, when we look at the geological column, the geologic column, right? It's this column that they say exists, but doesn't actually exist anywhere in the world. You've probably seen this when you went to school. You know, these are all the different ages and all the things that were evolved over that amount of time. But the thing about the column is that it doesn't exist anywhere in the world. The column in its total number of columns does not exist anywhere in the world. There's different parts in different parts of the world. And there's parts of the world where entire eras of time are missing from the strata. And then you go to a different part of the world and that one's there, but others are missing. I mean, there's all kinds of gaps and differences in the presumed eras and all the layers, you know, depending on where you go around the world. Now, does that make sense at all? That there's different evolutionary timelines on different parts of the world? I mean, and parts of them are missing. I mean, it's insane. Leviathans probably still exist. Yes. I actually have a picture of a thing that they captured, and it's going to be in a later one,
Bible study,
a later one of our lives, probably in this one. I actually have a picture of a thing they caught. I think it was 1925, and it looks like a baby Leviathan, or a sea long neck, like where it's a sea creature that has a long neck. A Loch Ness type monster. Yeah. So I mean, there's all kinds of things that they've found that still, and I think it might actually be on what about the dinosaurs? It's actually in the next chapter that I talk about. There's all kinds of carvings and things, but I think what you're talking about is the Leviathan. I might not have it on this page. We'll have to. Oh, it's a plesiosaur. Yeah.
Oh.
So the Leviathan, I'm not sure what you mean a Leviathan is, but the Leviathan is talked about in the book of Job. So,
and he said it's in the
behemoth
ocean.
and the Leviathan, but this is what I was thinking of when you said that. Sorry, is the plesiosaur, a long-necked sea creature that's supposed to be, you know, long extinct. They actually caught one, and this is a picture of it, right? This was in 1925, Santa Cruz, California. So yeah, there's lots of. We'll talk more about that in our next live, but because we're running out of time, and I've got to get through this part here. But a couple other things I wanted to bring up. I brought up the radio halos, the lava and dates. We kind of looked a little bit, and we looked at the canyons here. So before I go back to that, let me just show this real quick. There's what they call the leap second is what they call it, where they have to adjust the clock by a second periodically because the Earth's rotation is slowing. And I know you can't read that one, but you can certainly see it on the website. We're on chapter 22, so you can certainly go there and look at it. But so the Earth's rotation is actually slowing. And now they used to say it was a leap second and it was every year, but now they're saying, well, no, it can't be that because that would make evolution not work. So now they're saying, oh, no, it's not a leap second. It's not a yearly thing. But even if it was every 10 years, it would still mean that the Earth was spinning at 10 revolutions per second or, 50 revolutions per second at the Big Bang, So the math.
I remember talking about that.
Yeah, the math here wouldn't really matter even if it was 10 times slower. But, 30 million years ago, there was one revolution every second. So there wouldn't have been, the sun would literally flash across the sky every second. You'd just see the sun.
We'd go flying off the Earth.
1,040 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. The original calendar of 13 months. I don't know about that. I'll have to check that out.
Wow.
But that would mean that 300 million years ago there were 10 revolutions per second. So there would be no difference in light at any time. Anytime you would see a line, you'd see a line in the sky, which would be the sun. It would just be perpetual line. And it would be like a solid glow constantly because that's all you would see because it would be 100 revolutions per second.
That's how ridiculous they sound.
And that's 300 million years ago. That's when stuff was supposed to be evolving into life on this planet. That's just, or 3 billion years ago. Sorry, 100 revolutions per second, 10 revolutions per second, 300 million years ago. Yeah. At 10 revolutions per second, that's what the sun would look like.
Dumb.
There would be no difference.
Stay on the Earth.
You wouldn't be able to stand up.
Yeah, and at the Big Bang, supposedly 15 billion years ago, 500 revolutions per second, things would have been flung from the surface of the Earth from the centrifugal force. So that's just something I like to talk about because I actually did the math.
That's funny.
When I learned about this leap second, I said, wait a minute. I actually did the math. It's like, this is impossible, because the Earth's rotation is slowing. That's a scientific fact. The rotation of the Earth is slowing. So, and
that last one, which you said was 15 billion years ago, where they're saying that dinosaurs are older than that.
Well, no, they say, I think dinosaurs became extinct 30 million years ago. But now they're saying like 140 million or something. They're always changing their minds. I know.
So Douglas said, what was a prehistoric animal that swallowed Jonah? It had a different name than a whale.
Well, it was just a fish, right? It wasn't necessarily a whale. It was, and it could have been, it could have very well been a very special fish that God created just for that purpose. Jonah. God can do anything. So
he said, told a guy at work, so if I jump up, I'll land in Europe.
When the Earth was spinning.
Oh, when it was spinning.
Because you jump and the Earth would just go.
You'd be in Europe. Holy crap! I'm in Europe. Jump up again. Come back.
So then, so let's look at carbon dating again, because when we look at this, this Uinkaret lava flow where they found the Indian artifacts and all that stuff, that just proves it's ridiculous. When we talk about Mount St. Helens, this is another, where do I have that? I have that. I just talk about that up here, I think. But I've got some new stuff I want to show you about Mount St. Helens specifically. So I've got a little video I want to show you. And just check this out.
Oh.
Ooh.
You know, I grew up in country like this. My dad and I would ride our horses up to these amazing high mountain lakes. We'd ride back into some pretty remote wilderness areas with incredible streams and meadows and wildlife. I love it here. Look at this canyon. It reminds me of the Grand Canyon. You got this little stream, you got these steep canyon walls. How long do you suppose it would take for a stream this small to remove this much material and cut the canyon this deep? This rock has a history, just like I do and just like you do. It came from somewhere. A lot of these rocks have been dated to be 350,000 years old, up to 2 million. That's pretty old. But it might surprise you to know that all of the geological formations that we see here, the canyons, the layers, even the plants, are younger than I am. When I was born, there was nothing here but a vast forest, hundreds of feet below where we're standing right now. In fact, before 1980, most people had never even heard of Mount St. Helens.
Yeah. And that's Mount St. Helens.
There you go.
I'm going to show you another picture here real quick, because this is the canyon wall that's actually in Mount St. Helens.
Oh, wow.
And this is a person standing there, right? This is from Mount St. Helens. It doesn't take millions of years. And look at the layering and all of that, right? This is not strata layers. This is layering created by the moving of the crust of the earth during this event.
Yeah.
And the rocks that were formed from the lava. That's the thing is, they try to say that millions of years for all of those things, but they rewrite whenever they find something that doesn't fit, then they just rewrite. They rewrite their theories. And Paluxy River footprints, we're going to talk about that probably in the next live, Douglas. I've got some pictures of those footprints of human and dinosaur together. Yes. Yeah. And then, like I said earlier, I'm going to show some pictures of where they have found in China. They found human and dinosaur footprints together. So, yeah. And then, this is one of my favorites. You want to talk about a jumble of bones.
Yeah.
A dinosaur national monument in Colorado, right? They've got masses of jumbled bones, Yeah. And I'm going to talk about that in another live.
And seashells at the top of mountains.
All of the mountain chains have seashells at the top.
That does not happen.
Yeah. I know. But there's one more thing I want to talk about today, which is the magnetic field shrinkage. This is another thing that new modern science has shown us, that the Earth's magnetic field has been shrinking. It's weakening and shrinking. And they've measured the rate of that weakening of the magnetic field over time. And it shrinks by 50% every 1,400 years.
Yeah.
Which means no life would exist on the earth in only about 2,000 years, right? And that the rate of decay of the magnetic field proves a consistency with the creation being 6,000 years ago. Modern science actually proves the age of the earth that we know from the Bible, 6,000 years. And that's the very last thing I want to show you here. Oh, this keeps, I got to figure out how to make that stop happening.
Yeah.
But the last thing I'm going to show you here is this, the last little section I have down here. The 80,000 tons per hour that the Mississippi River dumps into the Gulf. This is just one thing that, the flood was 4,400 years ago. Exactly what they measured. The largest trees in the world, the oldest living trees in the world, they estimate are about 4,000 years old.
The redwoods, yeah.
Yeah, the redwoods in California, the biggest and oldest. You know, the oil under the surface of the planet's pressurized. They figure that pressurization can only be expected to last about 5,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how does that fit with millions of years of development? You know, nothing makes sense. All of the modern science findings that we have prove the Bible is correct. Everything proves the flood of Genesis, the age of the earth. And we're going to talk about this in our next live. We're going to continue talking about the science, you know, from all of the remaining chapters that we have here.
I-24 has a question. She said, why have they now just implemented solar power?
Well, I can't say why, but it's not like the technology couldn't have been done sooner than now. But
yeah,
oil, you have to understand that the global economy is hinged on oil today.
yeah.
And oil, you know, there have been people that have invented engines and carburetors and things, and they actually I've talked about this probably a year ago or so. I think it's Mercedes, or I'll have to look it up again, but there's an engine that they have that actually runs on water, literally, just carbon, and it has the same kind of fill up that you would use for a gas tank, but it doesn't use gas. I've actually got that.
Hi, David.
Oh, hey,
David. We miss you too, David.
I miss you too, David. God bless you. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's nice having you here.
But I'll have to look that up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about next time. If there's engines that they have that completely eliminate the need for oil, but oil is such a big money thing, you know, so that's probably why, you know,
Toyota.
They haven't been solar. No, it's not Toyota.
There's no commercially available Caterpillar engine that runs strictly on water.
Oh, okay. So it's going beyond
Toyota's water-powered engine.
Yeah, so they're making more of them now. And Toyota's doing it. Cool. Japan's probably implementing that, I bet. So, but that's, you know, oil's been around, and it's been such a big money thing that they don't want it to change.
It's hydrogen.
Hydrogen, yes, thank you. But I'll talk about that more next time, because I'll show you that.
That would be awesome if they did that.
Yeah.
You know what?
But we know what happened. You know, the science data shows that something huge happened to the magnetic poles 4,000 years ago. You know, that we know exactly what happened 4,400 years ago. And it was a big event that actually caused the magnetic poles to shift. And I'm going to talk about that in our next live.
Money.
Yeah, it's all about money, right? Yeah. And that's what, you know, the love of money is the root of all evil, is what the scriptures say.
Douglas said accidentally on purpose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They accidentally disappear. Yeah. But this, you know, this is, the Bible shows us that the earth is 6,000 years old. You know, and our next, you know, we're going to switch to our usual talking about the news and how it relates to biblical prophecy. And there's actually some things I'm going to talk about today. It seems like nothing's going on in the news, but there are some things I want to bring up. And one of the things, you know, that we talk about all the time is, oh, come on.
Yeah, David. That's what we're waiting for.
The peace plan, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But we talk about this all the time. When is the end of the world? On BibleProphecyandTruth.com, on the front page, if you scroll about 2/3 of the way down till you see this picture, you get to this article. But what I'm bringing up here is towards, you know, about 2/3 way down this article, I actually show, based on biblical fact, and I actually did the math myself on this. Yeah. Because it's weird how people can't figure out how old men are when it says, and I've actually, I mean, it was like I couldn't find people that would agree on this. And when you go and look, I went to the book of Luke, where it has the genealogies.
Yeah.
And then I went to the Old Testament and I said, how old was Seth when he had Enoch? And how old was Enoch when he had Canaan? And it tells you every single time how old they were when they had their son, all the way to Adam, or Abraham from Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no question whatsoever that it was 1946 when Abraham was born, almost 2,000 years from Adam. It was 2046 when God made the promises and Isaac was born. So from Adam to Abraham was 2,000 years, or about that, right? And then when you look at every other thing that we see in the Bible about the numbers of years, the sojourning of the children in Egypt, and the time of the judges, was 450 years. The time of the kings was exactly 502 years and 3 months. You know how I know that? Because I did the math myself. They have genealogies and Samuel, Kings and Chronicles of the kings and how old they were when their son started ruling. And I actually went and did the math. And it's 502 years and 3 months exactly was the time of the kings until Babylon invaded. And so we know exactly how long it was. It was 2,000 years from creation to Abraham, 2,000 years from Abraham to Jesus, and 2,000 years from Jesus to now. The earth is 6,000 years old. Mm-hmm. And modern science actually proves that to be true. Mm-hmm. It's another thing that proves the Bible is true.
People
lived longer. And Douglas, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about in the next live.
You're ahead of us, dude.
When we start talking about the dinosaurs and the firmament.
He's already in the next.
The firmament is where it gets very, very interesting. Yeah, and how many layers there were before the flood versus after the flood, and what changed.
He's in the next. He's in the next Bible study.
So we're definitely going to talk more about that.
I-24 says genealogy, lineage was definitely emphasized as well.
Where?
What?
It was emphasized where?
She said genealogy.
I'm wondering where it was emphasized.
Definitely emphasized. She does not say.
I don't know.
Please elaborate, girly.
Yeah, the flat earth theory
the Lord
is so dumb.
God revealed that to me to know how Noah came
about. Wow. I would like to hear about that.
Yes,
definitely.
Girl.
But I'm going to switch gears now, and I'm going to go to our usual, open my document here. So when is the end of the world? We always talk about that. We always talk about the signs that Jesus gave. And of course, oh, I've got it locked. Well, that's okay. Of course, what we're waiting for, David, as you pointed out, is we're definitely looking for the peace treaty.
Yes.
But we always talk about this. As I pointed out, it's about 2/3 of the way down the main page on Bible Prophecy and Truth. We always look at the latest earthquakes and what's going on, because this is where we're seeing so much spike in activity in the later decades.
What's that?
A 6.2 in Italy.
No, was that last?
That was on the 1st. So that was, we saw that last time.
A week ago, yeah.
Yeah. But we're at 2,090 earthquakes in the last 7 days. We're well on track for hitting over 140,000 this year. So we're going to be spiking again. So when you go to when is the end of the world, this graph here that I have of the earthquakes, you can see that it's starting an upward spike, and I think it's going to keep going up if it continues the way it has this year so far. And I've got 2 of these open now. That's nice. All right. How about we just keep this one? All right. So, but here's one thing I wanted to point out. Get rid of this.
Here, let me just finish because she's answering. Okay, she said, emphasize definition did this not mean upon agreement with what you were talking.
Oh, where your genealogy lineage was definitely emphasized.
Yeah.
Well, I think based on what science proves that and what the Bible shows us, the earth is 6,000 years old. So you'll have to elaborate on what you're talking about, I-24, and I definitely want to hear I want to hear the story about what God revealed to you. If you would send me an email. I would love to hear about that. But let's talk about what the Pharisees. Remember, Jesus scolded the Pharisees because they should have known who he was. They should have known the time. They should have known that he was the Messiah, but they had no idea. In fact, they hated him for saying so. And it's the same way many can't recognize the signs of his return that are right before our very eyes today. And I just thought that was a good meme. It was one of my memories. I thought I'd share it with you because this is so true. You know, the Jews in Israel today that are mired in Judaism, the Messianic Jews are our brothers and sisters in Christ. They are the true Israel, right? But the Jews that don't believe in Jesus, that are mired in Judaism, are teaching the exact same things that the Pharisees did 2,000 years ago, that Jesus rebuked. And it's really Pharisee 2.0 is what's going on in Israel today.
So
but was
she's saying the Lord just revealed it to her that Jesus came to the line of David. The line of David, meaning he revealed it, meaning he opened her eyes about what it was.
All right.
Yeah, simple as that.
Praise God.
Yes.
Yeah. So he basically revealed that the Bible is true. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
I agree, David.
Praise God for that.
Jesus
is king. Amen. And he led you to Enoch. You know, that happened to me too, I-24. I visited Israel in 2007. And that was the first time I'd ever, honey, you're reading out loud. It was the first time I'd ever heard of the book of Enoch. And a guy was telling me about it. The Lord used that guy to lead me to Enoch because I believe 100% that Enoch was preserved for us today. And I've even got, I've got some videos and I've got an article on Enoch. Just do a search on my website for Enoch and you'll find them if you're interested.
Yeah, they do, David.
The Jews actually try to change that because they don't like that Jesus was born at that mark. And so they actually try to change it. And that's why the Jewish calendar actually shows the Earth's age is different than what the Earth's age actually is, because they've changed things on purpose because they have a problem with the genealogies. Yes. But the Bible shows us exactly how old the Earth is through genealogies and other things. Yeah. But I just wanted to point this out because this is so true today. So many people they'll blatantly ignore or argue about what's going on and how the signs that Jesus gave that would herald his coming are actually happening right now. And the signs of his return are here right before our eyes. Oh. So just happened today.
Just happened.
Iran launched a barrage of missiles at Israel because it's in retaliation for an attack on Lebanon, right? And so sirens and all that. So it's the first time since the ceasefire. But this, what this proves to me is that Iran is not out of missiles. They were trying to say that Iran's out of missiles. No, they've been launching missile attacks. They've been doing drone attacks. They're getting new equipment from Russia and China anyway. And they're continuing to build.
An 8.1 earthquake in the Philippines.
In the Philippines, really? Did that just happen?
Yeah.
It must have just happened.
Holy, an 8.1.
Because I didn't see that.
Holy
and it should
cannolis.
show up on my thing here.
Holy crappy.
Really?
Still at 6.2.
Because this would show
This is updated.
This is updated every minute or so. It doesn't show it there. I have several websites that I don't have bookmarked here that I have on my other computer.
Holy crappy.
I'll have to look at that. In the Philippines, huh?
Whoa.
Okay. Which would be in this area of the world right here. Along here. The Philippines.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
So yeah, that's I don't see anything on this map, but if it just now happened, maybe it just hasn't gotten here yet. Interesting. I'll have to watch for that. But what all the things that are happening right now, with all of this turmoil going on in the world, all of these, the war with Iran is not finishing. Turkey is talking Trump out of, replacing the regime. That there's just so many things. Hamas is rebuilding in Gaza. The war with Lebanon really is just a proxy war with Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And, all of this is going to lead. And remember, it could go either way. For the peace treaty, and for anyone who's not sure what I'm talking about here, we're talking about what's called the confirmation of the covenant from the Bible, from Daniel chapter 9, where the Antichrist will be one of many who signs this treaty, a peace treaty for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be one. Well, let me go back. Hold on. He's going to be one of many that confirm the covenant.
Yes.
So let me not mislead you there. It's a peace treaty or a forced two-state solution. And the reason I say that is because the covenant that God made with Abraham was that Israel would be a great nation. And then he goes on to make the borders, to tell him what the borders of that land would be. So the confirmation of the covenant that the Antichrist will be part of will be the world as a whole is going to get together and either sign a peace treaty, which is what David was talking about with the peace treaty, and which some believe it could be, and it could be a peace treaty. It could be the Abraham Accords come to fruition, right? Or it could be what the majority of the world, all but like 5 nations of the world, want to force a two-state solution on Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to create a Palestinian state. Well, so think about that for a second. What would that force them to do? That would force them to draw the borders of Israel and give her the right to exist.
Because they'll get their
covenant.
Deal out of it by having a Palestine state.
Because they'll create a Palestinian state, but that will force them to draw Israel's borders and give her the right to exist, which many people are refuting right now. So I personally think it's going to be a two-state solution. I think it's going to be forced. And I think it's going to be a multinational force that will be in Jerusalem. When Jesus said, when you see Jerusalem compassed with armies, know that the desolation is nigh. What the desolation is when the Antichrist actually takes over the world in the middle of the final 7 years. Jerusalem will be compassed with armies because it'll be a multinational force in and around Jerusalem, keeping the peace, forcing the peace.
David says, will Trump settle on 7 years? Well, if that's going to be the confirmation of the covenant, he will.
If he does the Abraham Accords and it's a peace treaty that's signed, it may come from the other side that says we'll sign this treaty, but it's only going to be for 7 years.
Yeah.
And the most interesting thing about that is that in Islamic prophecy, the prophecies that Satan set up in Islam that exactly mirror the Bible, that are exact opposite of the Bible, also say that the Mahdi will be one who signs a peace treaty through a Jew for exactly 7 years.
There you go. Even they believe it.
So when this happens, it's going to be for a 7-year time frame, almost certainly. And it'll expire after 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's going to break that peace treaty in 3.5.
You're right.
Well, the Antichrist will, right? Yeah. So
a
two-state solution would cause them to draw the borders, but they might actually draw up some kind of a peace treaty in the middle of that as well, right?
Yeah.
And create a 7-year peace treaty. Yeah. Because if they're going to draw the borders and create a two-state solution and force that upon Israel, they're going to have to draw up some documentation. They're going to have to create a document.
There's got to be something for them to sign.
And it'll almost certainly come with a expiration date. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which will probably be forced by the Muslims, because their goal is to wipe Israel off the map, and they'll never stop trying, and they'll never agree to a perpetual, never-ending
They're going to want to
treaty.
break it.
Yeah. So, and then especially since their prophecies also say that it's going to be for a 7-year timeline, they're certainly going to try to make that happen.
Agreed.
Yeah. So this is why, I mean, everything that's happening right now is I can see God's hand moving, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like I literally see his hand moving. I'm just saying, through the events in the world and knowing prophecy, I see God manipulating things to make the end time come, which is what Jesus said. If the days weren't shortened, there would be no flesh saved. And what he means is the time will come at the time God appoints it to.
Amen.
Otherwise, we would utterly destroy ourselves, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're watching this. Iran sees victory, not compromise. They're trying to come out on top. They have not been defeated by any stretch of the imagination in their minds. They've had so much destruction in their country, but they don't care.
Yeah.
They want to escalate this. That's why they keep attacking other Muslim nations, because they want escalation. They want the escalation that their prophecies say will bring their Mahdi.
Oh, David said Trump already wants like 100-year peace plan.
And I think I heard that. Yeah.
He said, I can see it getting negotiated down to 7. Yeah, I can too.
Absolutely.
100 years?
Yeah.
He will not be alive to see that.
But this is what's happening with Iran. And then, with Hormuz still under threat, Iran targets a second choke point, right? This other narrow waterway linking the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden, which they're threatening that, right?
Yeah.
Because as we're, like last time we showed how the U.S. has escorted like 70 ships through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
But there's tons and tons and tons of ship that normally just flowing through there all the time. So 70 ships is a drop in the bucket, really, trying to help escort ships through. But
in the millennium
reign,
yeah. Right.
But so we're, Iran, they just fired missiles at Israel. They're threatening to close another strait. They're not being defeated at all.
Yes. Yeah, girl. Mm-hmm.
And they just struck the Kuwait airport. They killed 1 dead and 63 injured. They attacked, I think it was a drone attack. They call it self-defense strike on Kuwait. It's like what they're doing is they're trying to escalate this war. They want what their prophecies say will bring their Mahdi.
Yeah.
And the Lord Jesus is on his way. It's coming soon. Yes.
Definitely.
Praise God.
Yep.
So, but we're waiting for either the confirmation of the covenant or the fifth trumpet. Don't know which will come first, but I think that the confirmation of the covenant is imminent at this point. Trump nixed Israel plan to overthrow the Iranian regime after Turkish pressure. And this is somewhat speculative, and they think that it was because, Erdogan, or Erdogan, however you pronounce his name, doesn't want to give the Kurds are a big problem for them. They're a minority in Turkey that they're fighting all the time. The Kurds have a foothold in Iran as well, and he doesn't want the regime to change and have the chance of the Kurds actually gaining power. And so somehow, we don't know what was said behind closed doors, but somehow he has got Trump to change his mind on a regime change and completely overthrowing the IRGC, which is the regime that's in charge of Iran right now, and has been. So we don't know what was said, but it was a talk with Erdogan that somehow made him change his mind. And this is all.
I don't trust Turkey.
You know what?
At all.
This is all God moving here, making these things happen, because it's going to happen exactly the way God said it would, and He's making sure of that. Just like in Revelation 17:17, God puts it in the hearts of the kings to give their power to the Antichrist.
Yeah.
God does, to fulfill His will.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's very much in control.
That's why things seem to be just up and down all the time, because they are going to decide to do something. God says, no.
That's right.
Yeah. And just like in Daniel 11, right? When he studied that, that's, they tried to make something happen by signing the peace treaty or a two-state or whatever it ends up being, mischievously, to make something happen, but God said no. It's not time yet. No.
Yes.
That's so awesome. I just love that. Daniel 11 is so amazing. Like,
what would have happened if we would have had the Abraham Accords 8 years ago? Back Trump's first term, it didn't come to fruition because God said, no, it's not going to happen now.
Exactly. It'll happen when God says it's time.
Trump keeps trying. He just doesn't realize that it's being manipulated by God.
Yeah. And Trump is definitely being used by God.
Yeah.
But Trump, after hearing that Trump thinks he has to earn his way to heaven by creating peace, and knowing that he has this false prophetess.
That's so sad.
And Franklin Graham and Paula White, whispering lies in his ears, and just, he is probably very deceived and confused about Christianity, with people like that teaching him.
I honestly don't think he gives it much thought, though.
And I don't think he does either. I think
two people told me that they heard him say that he knew he was going to hell. Now, I don't know if that's just
wow.
That's pretty sad if he thinks that, because all he's got to do is repent.
I know.
Just like anyone. But and it's sad. That's a sad thing.
I know, it makes me sad.
I would love for him to be a true Christian, but the interfaithism seems to be finding its way into his mind. He seems to be leaning that way, making friends with all the Muslims, and
I think he's too proud. He's very, very proud.
He's just trying to make peace, and he's trying to leave a legacy behind, I'm sure.
Well, I could just see him trying to build Trump Tower in heaven.
I know, right?
Well, I already made it to heaven, so I don't need a Tower of Babel.
But he says that U.S. can extract Iran's uranium without a deal. I think if that was true, that we would have already have done it.
We would have already been started.
And I don't, he keeps delaying and delaying and delaying, and Iran keeps delaying and delaying and
But
delaying.
maybe that's because it's manipulated by God, not him.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be mad at
it's-
him if God is the one
No.
who's manipulating that.
No,
so.
I'm not mad at him. I'm just watching.
Don't be mad at
I'm
Trump.
watching what's happening, and I love Trump as our president. Don't get me wrong.
God, yes.
He's doing great things for this country. If his plans are allowed to
I
continue,
know.
they keep trying to stop everything he's trying to do.
Yeah.
But if he's allowed to continue, it will do great things for this country. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I-24.
God will lift his hand and let it go.
Yeah, and that's so true. I-24. That God uses whoever He
Anybody.
wills, just like He used Pharaoh. Bringing the Israelites out of Egypt. Pharaoh initially hardened his heart and said no, and then as the plagues started happening, God seized the mind of Pharaoh.
Didn't he try to
and
change his
hardened
mind?
his own heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to change his
But
mind.
God seized his mind and
Yeah.
wouldn't let him, to make an example of him to the
Yeah.
nations of the world.
Yeah, he was just going to say, okay, go ahead and go.
Yeah,
God.
and God
Right.
uses whoever He wills.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
fulfill His will. Yeah, I mean, He's God; He can do anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
and He is such a wonderful, loving, awesome God that we, as people who love Him, can count on. We
Oh,
count on His
yes.
promises, His love, His long suffering, His mercy, His
Yeah.
grace.
Every day.
And we know that is true. God cannot lie. We
Right.
know it's true. Yes.
Mhm.
So the U.S. downed a bunch of Iranian drones that were supposedly heading towards ships. So there's a lot of things flaring
There
up
is.
right now.
Yeah.
The Lebanese president accuses Iran of using Lebanon as a
Oh.
bargaining chip. Well,
Good.
duh.
Yeah.
We already all know this. I'm glad that you're, saying it, but we already all know that. We know that Hezbollah,
No.
Hezbollah is just an arm of Iran. The U.S. weighs using Iranian assets to compensate Gulf states. So billions of dollars that have been frozen of Iranian assets, they're thinking of using that and giving it to the Gulf states for the war damage that Iran has caused by attacking them. I think that's a good idea. I really do. Qatar-based professor says the West needs cultural revolution.
Oh, my word.
Its only salvation is mass conversion to Islam.
Okay. Good luck.
And then, but would mass conversion to Islam really cure the ills of the West? Wouldn't it be prudent to look carefully and in detail at what Islam does to individuals and to societies?
Mhm.
Because if you look at every country that's been turned into a Muslim country, they've gone literally to hell. And it's a cesspool of murder and pedophilia and rape and just
Abuse of women.
abuse of women, and it's horrible what happens.
Yeah.
But this is Islam. This is what they believe in their core being, is that they are destined to rule the world, and their conquest is to subjugate the entire world. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're never going to stop. We need to understand that. There's so many people that are so deceived. We need to understand how they'll never stop.
This situation makes me so sad. What they did to this poor young man in Great Britain.
Yeah, that's a murder here, and
Of Henry Nowak, I guess you say his name.
And how, how did it get so bad? Well, I'll tell you how it got so bad. They sat there and they let their government open their borders and allow Muslims in for decades now, and they're taking over, and it's gotten that bad.
So was it an illegal into the country, or was he black, or he was?
I don't
Was he?
remember.
He
I don't
might
remember
have been
exactly who
Arab.
the perpetrator. It was an illegal, I'm pretty
It
sure.
was, yeah, I'm sure. And
It was a
he
Muslim, yeah.
stabbed this 18-year-old boy, young man, who was just hanging out with his friends. And then after he stabbed him, he said, he was racist. He was racist.
Yeah, the police were standing around calling him a racist.
And they handcuffed
him.
the victim.
And he died.
Who was laying on the ground dying.
He died in handcuffs.
He said, please, I've been hurt. Please call the police. Please call an ambulance. I'm dying, or I'm really hurt.
I can't breathe.
I can't
Heard he
breathe.
said, yeah.
Like George Floyd.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah, and the police are
he was
calling him
innocent.
racist and just handcuffing him instead of the perpetrator.
Because he claimed he was racist. He was racist.
And how did it get so bad in Great Britain? Well, it's happening here, and I'm going to show you just a real short clip of why it's happening here. We're seeing it in Texas already.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that.
Well, let me turn the sound on and start it over here.
You are going to see more communities like what you see in the DFW area, where Islam as a political movement gains far more viability. And it starts at the local level, where you'll see large Islamic immigration into certain communities, certain towns. They'll start to donate to local mayors and local city officials. That'll give them the ability to get mosques and Islamic schools zoned properly so they can build them. It goes from there. You start to build the sort of the physical infrastructure needed for an Islamic movement. And we're already getting there. I mean, you see the results in Europe where you've got no-go zones in certain parts of Paris and London. And the results have been catastrophic for the people of Paris and London. And I think we could either ignore that at our own peril, or we can see what's happening other places and stop it.
Yeah. That's the only option we have here, is to try to stop it now.
Well, and I-24 says, oh, I saw that.
Oh, another person like George
But
Floyd,
see, this is what people are saying. However, Henry Nowak was not chewing on a speedball and running from the police.
Right, and he wasn't
he was 18 years old, hanging out with his friends who didn't even see this coming.
Exactly.
This came on him.
And that's the thing, George Floyd was overdosing on fentanyl. That's why he couldn't breathe. And and it wasn't. That's what they're saying.
He wasn't a drug addict.
What they're likening it to, though, is that he said, I can't breathe.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the cops just let him die. And they're saying, why isn't the world in an uproar about that? When, look at George Floyd, right? So that's what they're saying about it. Yeah.
Okay.
But, and I agree. We should be in an uproar about that.
I mean, the kid was 18 years old, just hanging out with his friends, doing nothing, just being a kid. A good kid. He was supposedly a really good kid.
And then you probably heard about this story where some maniac attacked a Jew on a subway, screaming about Jews eating kids. This is how the narrative, the false narrative, the lies, the propaganda that come from Islam have done to our people. They've got people so convinced.
Stupid.
I know. It's like
where
Jews are eating kids.
Why would somebody in the right mind believe something like that? You really got to be an idiot to believe that.
So I want to know what subway.
I believe it was New York.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Screaming.
Well, the
Jews are eating kids and attacking a Jew. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the one that happened in the U.S. Yeah, the George Floyd.
In Minnesota.
And I'm not gonna talk about that.
Oh.
So, yeah. But the big lie of blaming the U.S. and Israel for Islamic child rape in Gaza and Afghanistan is ridiculous. They're actually trying to blame the United States and Israel for them raping children. They're raping children and they're blaming the US and Israel for it. And they're considered property, so in their society it doesn't matter anyway. Yeah. 90% of Afghan women and girls have experienced domestic violence because they're property. They're sold and traded and raped and just yeah, and it's our fault. And the reason they're blaming us for this, by the way, in the article they're talking about, well, in Afghanistan, because we've stopped the flow of money. The U.S. has stopped the aid going to Afghanistan because it was just going to the cartels and the Al-Qaeda groups and things. They say because we stopped the money going in there that they have to sell their daughters just to survive. That's how they're blaming us for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's our fault that they're idiots.
Yeah. Well, they're going to blame you any way they can.
And these poor females here in the States, they're so Americanized that they don't realize what's going to happen to them.
When Sharia law takes over, this will be what they're wearing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It says subjects such as science and technology are not necessary for women because women are just dumb and half of a man and don't really need to know about science and technology. That's how Muslims think of women. That's what, if you're a woman and you had any inkling to thinking Islam was okay, you need to think about that, because Sharia law means that you're not equal to men and they have every right to do anything they want to you.
Yeah, the pecking order is the man, and then any sons, then the dog, and then the wife.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, in the Great Tribulation, the Jews have been warned. That's true. They have.
Yes,
and there's
they have.
2/3 of the Jews are going to die, probably mostly during the Great Tribulation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a sad thing. And, try to tell a Jew about Jesus and they'll just scream at you. They don't like it. They hate Jesus. And, I feel sorry for the Messianic Jews because their families hate them. They're persecuted hugely by their own families because they believe in Jesus. And then the DRC, Muslims murdered 16 people. I mean, this happens daily.
Yeah, it does.
Daily in Africa, all over the place. In Nigeria, Muslims attack a Christian farming community, murdering 8, injuring 15 others, and certainly taking some as slaves, which is what they always do, because they're modern day slavers and nobody seems to care about that. But, no airstrike. This is in Nigeria, right? Trump's saying that he's going to help them. We did some airstrikes, but no airstrike's going to end this war. No negotiated agreement will end this war. No UN declaration will end this war. No declaration of victory from Trump will end this war. This war is an Islamic jihad. It has no end. They are a religion of hate. They think they need to destroy the great Satan and the little Satan, and Christians and Jews have to be annihilated and they have to take over the world, and they will not ever stop. And there's about 2 billion of them in the world today. So,
and they keep having children like
crazy.
Mice.
Yeah.
That makes me think of something. When God comes back and takes over the earth for 1,000 years, maybe most of them people are going to be Muslims. Because there's so many of them in the world, there's going to be a lot more when the Antichrist goes into power.
And they're going to be killing a lot of Christians during the tribulation.
There probably will be a lot that remain, right? That go into the tribulation or into the the millennial reign. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Just like a third part of the Jews will remain, that will go into the millennial reign. There's going to be, the lion, the bear, and the leopard their lives are prolonged for a season at a time. They're going to go into the millennial reign. The fourth beast is destroyed, but that's just the kings, the 10 kings in the alliance. It doesn't mean that all Muslims are wiped out, but no one will be a Muslim after Jesus returns.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And then, a Somali woman was attacked by her family because she converted to Christianity. She's a 22-year-old Christian woman in Somalia. This is happening everywhere. Nigeria's in the news a lot because it's happening a lot there, but it's in the DRC. It's in all of those northern and central African states. This is happening every day, constantly.
And that's who's in Congress right now, a Somali
I know.
woman.
A Somali woman, yeah. And then Islamic extremists declare plans for an African caliphate in, I believe this is Mozambique, northern Mozambique. So they're actually, this has happened before, where a certain group of Muslims will decide they're going to establish the caliphate, which is what all Muslims really are waiting for, is the Mahdi to come and establish the caliphate for the end time. And so they keep trying to bring that on. They keep trying to create a caliphate. It doesn't really take, and it's not going to, until the Mahdi rises and the Antichrist comes to power. Yeah. So just wanted to bring that up. I mean, it's happening all over the place. Islam is surging across the world right now. And it's just another sign of the end times being upon us, because it's almost an absolute certainty that the Antichrist will be a Muslim. And that fourth beast of Daniel 7 will be a 10-nation union of Islamic nations that will hail him as the Mahdi. And he will create that fourth beast when he rises to power among the Muslim nations. And that'll be 8 months in after the signing of the peace treaty, which is something I talk about when we're going through prophecy and the timelines that we have there. It's about 8 months after the signing of the peace treaty or the two-state solution, whatever the confirmation ends up being. 8 months in was when the Antichrist will stand up and begin gathering his power. And I'm certain that that's the moment where he's going to declare himself the Mahdi of Islam and create the fourth beast of Daniel 7, that 10-nation union. I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to play out. I can't say for certain, of course, because it hasn't happened yet. But that sure seems like the way it's written, that it'll play out in that way. It's definitely going to be 8 months after. And it's almost certainly going to be a Muslim. So, yeah, it sure looks like that's how it's going to end up. So a couple of memes. Someone awards fame, riches, popularity. I just want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's literally all that matters. And yet, as Christians, that should be everyone's goal, because literally nothing else matters. Nothing in this world matters in any way, shape, or form other than God and helping other people to know him before it's too late. That's the only thing that matters. Let us chase the kingdom with everything we have. Yeah. Nothing else matters. I think I stole this one from you.
Yeah, you stole the other one too.
Oh yeah, I did.
Means.
But this is,
Yeah.
this is excuses people make, because everybody says, oh, well, nobody can cease from sin. Well, the Bible tells us to. The Bible tells us to cease from sin. And that doesn't mean we can be perfect. There was only one perfect man, and that's Jesus. But we can certainly cease from sin. We're going to sin because we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to fall to emotional and physical pressure, and we're going to sin. But we don't sin willfully, ever. We don't ever say, I know it's a sin and I don't care.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's bad.
But people make excuses. They don't want to let go of their favorite sin. So, well, nobody's perfect. I'm only human. We're going to sin anyway.
That's taking it
God
really
knows
lightly.
my heart.
Yeah. People say that all the time.
What?
The people
Take it lightly like that. Well, I'm only human. It's like you're not even listening to what people are telling you, are you?
Mhm.
Yeah, and they say God knows my heart. Only God can judge me. Well,
Yeah,
that should,
yes,
it's
you-
hard to say what you just said.
yeah, that should terrify you. Yeah, you should be afraid. Yeah, it's someone else's fault. That's always, everybody's always a victim.
Mm.
Everybody's a victim today.
Still the pride. So
Yeah.
if you see that
Well, they're
pride
always
speak up, you
justifying.
ask yourself, does that person really love God?
Right. If they're making excuses like this, then the answer is no, they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people justify what they
Mm.
do. Like, I'm doing
Yeah.
it because and I'm not talking about all that. I'm talking about, I've heard people say, well, I'm just like cheating on their spouse. People will say,
Well, they just,
well, they don't treat me
yeah,
right.
They this and they that
It's
made
like,
me do this.
No, you're
Yeah.
a cheater.
Yeah, no, you cheated.
You cheated.
That's what happened. Yeah,
Get a divorce
Yeah.
then.
I know. So that's all we got, and we're out of time, actually.
are out
So
of
thank you
time.
all for being here with us. We love every single one of you, and I will say a prayer and we'll say goodbye. So thank you all, or thank you all. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for all of the promises that you've made, all of the prophecies that you've given us, everything that you've shown us in your word, Lord, just shows us everything that we need to know. We don't need another book. We don't need anything else. All we need is your word, and you did it that way on purpose. And we're so grateful, Lord. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you've done, all you're doing, and all you're about to do, Lord. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you all.
Bible study.
Jody.
I'm psyched now for the next one.
Okay, so Jody, I don't have my list in front of me. I need it over there. Okay, so
You've got a list on your
I-24.
other tab right there.
I thought you were putting up the thing. Okay, you're welcome. I-24. Love you so much. I'm so glad you came back. Douglas, David, I'm really glad you came back, David, because we missed you too. Lainey and Kathleen.
Yeah.
Is that everybody? Yes.
And Douglas.
Yeah, I said
Did you say
Douglas.
Douglas? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Love all of you. Thank you for the comments.
Love you too,
and interaction.
Jody.
And everybody that watches later, we love all of you very much.
Yes. Sissy, love you. You only have another day and a half.
Day and a half?
Yeah, work. I was thinking it was Wednesday. Wednesday.
No,
will-
it's Monday.
It's only Sunday.
Oh, I don't know what day it is. So next Wednesday we may be late.
Well, there's a chance that we might be late, but it's really doubtful. But there's a slight chance. So if we're not on right at 6:30, we'll be a little late.
Yeah.
But we should be on time.
Yeah, we're
so.
still gonna have a Bible study. We just, if we're not on at 6:30, hang in there. We're coming.
Yeah.
Okay. And don't go away. Just hang out because it's only just.
We'll be here.
Yeah, we'll be here. So everybody, love you. Have a great week. See everybody on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Please share, like, follow, and turn on the notification so you don't miss any great uploads. And after that, we'll see you later.
Yeah. Thank you, Diane. Appreciate you.
Yes, love you,
Love you.
Sissy.
Love you guys.
Love you
We'll
guys.
see you all Wednesday. Bye.